Dear students, media played an important role in the Hitler's time. Media was carefully used to win support for the regime and popularize its worldview. Nazi ideas were spread through visual images, films, radios, posters, catchy slogans, and leaflets. Socialists and liberals were represented as weak and degenerate and attacked as malicious foreign agent. Propaganda films were made to create hatred for Jews. The most infamous film was The Eternal Jew. Jews were referred to as venom, rats, and pests. Their movements were compared to those of rodents. Now, let's see how he established a racial state. Nazis wanted only a society of pure and healthy Nordic Aryans. They alone were considered as desirable, while other communities were classified as undesirable. Jews, gypsies, and blacks living in Nazi Germany were considered as racial inferiors who threatened the biological purity of the superior Aryan race. The captured civilians were being forced to work as slave laborers. In Nazi Germany, Jews were the worst sufferers. Jews had been stereotyped as killers of Christ, and Jews lived in a separately marked areas called ghettos. Hitler's hatred of Jews was based on the theories of race, which could be satisfied only through their total elimination. From 1933 to 1938, the Nazi terrorized and segregated the Jews. From 1939 to 1945, they aimed to kill them in gas chambers of Poland. The Nazis tried to release their racial ideal through genocide. They divided the occupied Poland. The most of the northwestern Poland was made part of Germany. Now, let's see how Hitler saw the youth. Hitler believed that a strong Nazi society could be established by teaching children Nazi ideology. Undesirable children and teachers, that is, Jews, physically handicapped, and gypsies, were thrown out of schools. The school textbooks were rewritten. Germans and Jews could not sit and play together. Racial science was introduced to justify Nazi ideas of race. Stereotypes about Jews were popularized even through maths classes. Children were taught to be loyal, submissive, hate Jews, and worship Hitler. Even sports like boxing were introduced to nurture a spirit of violence and aggression among children. Hitler thought that boxing could make children iron hearted, strong, and muscular. Hitler divided the youth into different groups. Let's see how. Youth organizations were made responsible for educating German youth in the spirit of National Socialism. 10-year-old children had to join the Young war. At 14, all boys had to join the Nazi youth organization, that is, Hitler's youth. After a period of rigorous ideological and physical training, they joined the labor service at the age of 18. Then they had to serve in the armed forces and enter one of the Nazi organizations. In 1922, the Youth League of the Nazi was founded. After 4 years, it was renamed as Hitler Youth. To control the youth, all other youth organizations were banned. Only the Hitler's organization were flourished. Now, let's see what was the view of Nazis. The crime committed by the Nazis were the result of a system of belief and a set of practices. Nazi ideology was synonymous with Hitler's worldview. According to this, there was no equality between people, but only a racial hierarchy. The superior race will be at the top and the inferior race will be at the lowest. In this view, blue-eyed Nordic German Aryans were at the top, while the Jews were located at the lowest rank. All other colored people were placed in between depending upon their external features. Hitler's regime is considered as the most barbaric regime in the world history. Dear students, now let's see what was the idea behind Hitler's racism. Hitler's racism was borrowed from the idea of Charles Darwin and Herbert Spencer. Darwin tried to explain the creation of plants and animals through the concept of evolution and natural selection. Herbert Spencer added the idea of survival of the fittest. It means who is fit will survive. According to this idea, only those species survived on Earth that could adapt themselves to the changing climatic conditions. These ideas were used by the racist thinker and politicians to justify imperial rule over conquered people. The Nazi argument was simple. The strongest race would survive and the weak ones would perish. The Aryan race was the finest. It had to retain its purity, become stronger, and dominate the world. The other aspect of Hitler's ideology is related to geopolitical concept of limism or living space. He believed that new territories had to be acquired for the settlement and to increase the area of the mother country. Hitler intended to extend German boundaries by moving eastward